So, with the close of our day today, we did the 3D shoot and then went over and spent some time with mom and dad and April and family. So, it was a good day. Got to looking at some of the backdrops and stuff that they had out there at the archery range. And I noticed them before, but never really studied them, I guess. But I ended up making my own today at the end of the day. Took a little time, but turned out good. Not as big as I wanted. As I started cutting the pieces out, I kind of realized that I was going about it a little bit wrong. But if you want just a simple backdrop target, this would be more than sufficient for a traditional archer or a low poundage bow with a high poundage like I'm shooting, and the small diameter of the fast arrows and stuff. It's not quite as sturdy as I would like it to be. Let me show you what I did. Yeah, excuse the mess in my garage. It's my garage, I use it. So here you have blackboard, fiberboard. Okay, and this is basically what I've used. I grabbed 6 sheets of it, 1/2 inch, 4x8 sheets. Okay. And then what I ended up doing was cutting them into strips. Now these strips are not the dimensions that I cut them to, but the dimensions that I probably should have cut them to, or even a little wider. That's closer to an 8 or 9-inch piece right there. And what I ended up cutting them at was 5 inches wide. So a little bit narrow. And after I got going, I started to realize the higher I went with those, the harder it was going to be to keep that steady. Kind of want to buckle in the middle maybe. So I stopped before I got too high and had that issue. So I'll take you out here and show you what I did build. This is basically just a trial run, but it worked out. It did work out. And I think it's going to get better as I add some more of the coating that I'm putting on it. So here you have the side view. I basically just built this off a whim. I didn't really put much thought into it. I had some extra lumber laying around in the garage, so that's what I went with. So it worked out really well. I didn't have to put any cost into that. Here's the front view of it. So basically what I did here is I've got 1/2 inch ready rod. Okay. And then my plan was to make this 6 foot tall. Okay. And right now as it stands, it's probably only about 2.5, 3 foot tall. Plus the 8 inches on the bottom, 2x8s for support on the bottom. So we're probably around 3 foot, 4 foot maybe. And it works well. I've shot it a couple times. Now what I've got here on the outside of it is, this is Flex Seal. Rubber in the can. Okay, and I was kind of worried that it wasn't going to set up, and it still might give me issues. I'm hoping not, but it's not very hot today and it's pretty humid, so maybe once we get some direct heat on that, it may come out of that and dry up. But if it does, I'm going to coat it again and probably coat it with gray this time. So I just kind of gave it a coat on the back and the front, both. And basically you just make a sandwich out of the boards. Now the top one, if I was going to do this another, the next one that I do, I'm going to build a little bit sturdier and a little bit wider. Like I said, it's going to be at least 8 inches, if not more. it's going to cost a little more. This board that I got was about 11-12 bucks a sheet. So with the 6 sheets, I was right around $65-70 on that. But you know, so you can probably double that if you're going to make it at least 10 inches thick. So you might have $200 into this with just the board. But this target will last you a long time. And I cut the rods off at the top here. I was going to leave them extended and then add to this, but then I just came to the realization that this was just too narrow, and I might as well just stop where I was at, save what little board I have left, and do it the right way. But here on the top, if you want to build a small one like this, this is going to be, you know, a fairly easy and cost-effective way to make it. So I've got a 2x6 on the top, or 2x8 on the top, and a 2x8 on the bottom. If I was going to do this again, instead of putting this 2x4 brace on the top, I would just double this 2x8 up and give it that much more strength. Okay. Same thing on the bottom. Put 2 on there instead of just 1. Because if you can look here, you see from the front, it's wanting to pull those sides up. I don't know if the camera does it much justice or not, but it's wanting to pull those sides up. So I think doubling that bottom board and that top board will be a good idea. But I have shot this with my I think I'm sitting around 65, 67 pound draw right now with those micro diameter shafts, the kinetic pierces, and they are going through about 8 inches to the backside. So I'm hoping that if I get a couple more coats of that Flex Seal on there, that may add a little bit of stopping power to it. And that's also at 20 yards, so you know, maybe if I move back a little bit, it may not be as bad, but that's going to last quite a long time. I mean, the arrows are not that bad really to pull out. Those pierces are a little bit tough because they have that the sleeve on the outside, so there is a little bit of a lip there, and it does catch that lip a little bit. So that's why I want to build this a little bit stouter, a little bit thicker, bring it out 8 to 10 inches. And you know, if you wanted to get really crazy with it, you know, like the ones out there at the range are actually, you know, they're probably a good 8 or 10 inches wide and about 6 or 8 foot tall and about 6 foot wide. So they're using almost full 4x8 sheets is what it looks like. So you know, if you can afford that, man, it would be a good target. But and those have been out there forever. And what you can do with these, if you treat the rods here like I did with some kind of a silicone rust preventer or preventative, you know, spray those down with or you could even coat them with that Flex Seal if you didn't have to, but you want to make sure that you either make it all in one shot or leave yourself some extra rod. If you can't do it all in one shot, you can leave that extra rod sticking out the top, you know, and just add to it as you go. That way you don't necessarily have to put all the cost into it right away. You can do 3 foot, 4 foot right now when you can afford it, and then, you know, a month or two down the road you can go ahead and add to it. Just unscrew that top lift it up and start adding your layers on top of the existing layers. So I've seen a lot of similar ideas, and a lot of guys are using carpet and stuff, and I don't know. For me, that just seems a little bit, it probably works, you know, it probably works, but I think over time you might get a little bit of scratching or buildup on their arrows, maybe. Like I said, I know that the archery club has made their backdrops this way, and they've been out there for years, ever since I can remember. And I started shooting out there, you know, when I lived there, which was 15 years ago. So they've withstand the test of time. I mean, there's some pretty good holes in some of those over there, but you know, you could actually, if you had to, fill those with a spray foam, or like I said, if you leave those rods long enough, you can just take that top off, pull those bad layers out, drop your good layers down, and then just add to it. So it's a repetitive target, basically, a backdrop. You can add and take out whenever you want, or whenever you have to. So if that it looks like a good idea to you, and something that will help you get your own little archery setup, then you know, hopefully I've helped you out with it and given you some good ideas and pointers on it. I'm just kind of learning this as I go, so I'm not don't have it perfected by any means, but this has been a fun little start to what I've wanted to do. So anyway, that's what I got for you. The fiberboard target. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video. Stay safe in your hunts.